So the poem we're going to be looking at today is View of Scotland, Love Poem by Liz Lockhead. The learning intentions and success criteria are to understand and analyse the poem. If you can explain what the poem is about and examine the language of the poem, then you've been successful with this. So because it's a split title, you can see here that it's a combination of Lockhead's own memories of Hogmanay, but also a love poem written for her husband. We can tell it's set in the 1950s because a lot of the things that are said in there, it's all very topical and of the time. So it's distinctly autobiographical. It's also very universal as it deals with experiences and traditions that we all have in our lives, and particularly as Scottish people. And that time of year, Hogmanay is so special for people of Scotland. We apparently celebrate it the best in the whole world. She uses a really interesting structure in this poem. It's two poems combined, one that deals with the Hogmanay traditions and preparations of her childhood, and the other one's about her relationship and how she met the man that she was going to fall in love with. She intertwines these memories of the past with the present and explores how these memories and experiences influence and inform the future, essentially. It's quite typical of Lockhead, and it deals with specific details very, very accurately as she can recall them. She relies heavily on memory, not nostalgia. That's something she said in the past. However, sometimes it does actually evoke a sort of a nostalgic feeling in us. She doesn't use any poetic license to elaborate or embellish, as she believes this is ultimately what makes poetry untruthful and therefore worthless. So I want you to think about the poem being very visual here. Three distinct personal events allows the reader to share these. First memory she has is watching her mum prepare for the new year. She's cleaning the house top to bottom. The second one, she's moved on 30 years and she recalls the Hogmanay party where she met her future husband. And the third one, she moves on to the present day as she prepares to celebrate the new year with her husband. It's so skillful. You don't even really notice these transitions. It's so skillfully done. As always, our annotation key will be the same throughout. We're going to use red for word choice, green for imagery and blue for structure. Down on her hands and knees at 10 at midnight on Hogmanay, my mother still giving it elbow grease, jiffy waxing the vinyl lay. This is too ordinary to be nostalgia. On the kitchen table, a newly opened tin of sockeye salmon, though we do not expect anyone. The slab of black bun, petticoat tails fanned out on bone china. Last year it was very quiet. So we start off with some word choice with down on her hands and knees at 10 at night on Hogmanay. Really establishes the evocative setting of the poem, Scotland on New Year's Eve, and it introduces that notion of tradition. The woman's clearly cleaning her house, okay? She's giving it elbow grease. She's really trying to begin a new year with her new year with a very clean house, and that metaphor of elbow grease shows us that she's scrubbing it top to bottom. It was considered bad luck to have a dirty house for the new year. You had to make sure that everything was the way you wanted it to be before the new year came in, and that's one of the ideas that runs through this poem. It's quite superstitious. She uses a parenthesis, and this is too ordinary to be nostalgia. She does that deliberately. She's intruding on that memory so that you don't think that she's thinking of this too nostalgically. She's trying to be truthful here, but it has very, very positive connotations for her. The ordinary rather than nostalgia. We talked about sockeye salmon, black bun, petticoat tails here because they're very typical Scottish food, very traditional. They're meant to show prosperity, the best you can possibly have, and it's meant to encourage good luck for the new year, and the word choice of that shows us this. Again, bringing in that idea of our memories, but also our really clear ideas about her, just about the way that she experienced New Year's and the thing that she used to eat. We have last year it was very quiet, and that's some dialogue in there. It was tradition to prepare for guests regardless if you weren't going to get anyone. So again, really superstitious, really a really vivid memory of Lockheads there that we're getting. Mum's got her rollers in with waves set and her well-pressed good dress slack across the candle wick upstairs. Nearly 10:30 already and her not shifted. If we're even hope to prosper, this midnight must find us how we would like to be. A new view of Scotland with a dangling calendar is propped up under last year's ready to take its place. This whole stanza is really about word choice here. Again, that memory of a 1950s woman with her rollers in her hair, got her well-pressed dress out, laid out on her bedspread upstairs, establishes the time and place of the poem. It's very clearly a past memory, and also shows us again that tradition of really looking your best at Hogmanay. We move on to 10:30 already and her not shifted. Brings in this idea of the passing of time. She really plays with this in her poem. It's 3 separate times that she talks about, but she manages to blend them seamlessly, as we said, and this is a wee clue that time and the passage of is one of the main themes of the poem. Here, a mum's really acutely aware of the hands of the clock moving relentlessly towards midnight, but as the poem moves forward, the present is constantly being consigned to the past. It's quite a tricky idea, and it's really, again, that elusive nature of time that's coming in here. Even hope to prosper, that's repeated later on in the poem, but it's again about superstition and tradition. We also have the dialect of her not shifted, adds a bit of humour there. She's got to rush to get ready, and we've got this new view of Scotland, which is quite ironic because all the memories are from the past, so where is this new view coming from? If you're wondering about that dangling calendar, apparently it's bad luck to have your calendar on your wall before the new year comes in, so another wee nod to the superstitions. Darling, it's 30 years since anybody was able to trick me. December 31st looking into a mirror to see a lassie with as many heeds as days in the year, and two already since familiar strangers at a party. We did not know we were the happiness we wished each other when the bells went, did we? So clearly the time and place is changing here. It's a change in a memory. She's now reminiscing about the evening she met her husband, and she's directly addressed him through that really nice word darling there. The idea of her being able to trick him is quite a playful tone, and that's created through the word choice there. We have an image here, or a sort of a structural thing here with the idea of the looking into a mirror to see a lassie with as many heats as days in the year. It's a direct speech again here, and it's a superstition, and the voice is inserted to show how much the past informs the present. She still thinks about that. We then move on to this question at the end here. It conveys the love they now share without over embellishment, but actually it's a lot more moving in that way, because she's suggesting that at the time they met they weren't sure that they were going to be together, because you never know that sort of thing, and now they're so deeply in love with each other they didn't realise that they were as happy as they were going to be because of each other. It's this memory has influenced the speaker's entire life, which is so important. All over the city, off licences pull down their shutters. People make for where they want to be to bring the new year in. In high rises and tenements, sunburst clocks tick on dusted mantel shelves. Everybody puts their best spread of plenty, for to even hope to prosper, this midnight must find us how we would like to be. So we start here with all over the city with the word choice. Really suggests that community, everybody's involved, everybody mixes with each other, and we get that from the high rise and the tenements there. It's really a big community thing, New Year in Scotland. And we have the image here of the sunburst clocks tick on dusted mantel shelves. Maybe for your parents, or maybe even their parents, it's a familiar object. It really is meant to symbolise the relentless passage of time. You can't stop a clock ticking, just as you can't stop the passage of time happening. And no matter how long more time you want to prepare for the bells, then you're not going to be able to. You need to just accept that time passes. We then have some parentheses here again, and it's repeated from earlier, again reminding us that superstitions and traditions must be observed. So there's a bottle of sickly liquor among the booze in the alcove, golden crusts on steak pies, like quilts on a double bed, and this is where we live. There is no time like the present for a kiss. So the image here of the golden crust on steak pies, like quilts on a double bed, hints back to the dress on the bed there. So this time the tradition is comforting, just like a bed. It's quite familiar, but she's now thinking about her own home with her husband that she has. She feels comfortable, she feels happy and secure. We have the word choice, there is no time like the present for a kiss. It's like the big New Year moment. Everybody waits for the bells to have a kiss with each other. It shows the utter contentment of being truly happy in the present moment, and it really leaves the reader curious as to what the new year will bring for our couple. We're constantly propelled into the future. She reminds us to remember the past and enjoy the present. So she talks about all of these different things. This has been a really complex poem, and I think that you will need to continue the revision of it and keep checking over it to ensure that you understand it. We've got obviously the themes that are coming in here. You've got the memory, you've got the idea of change and the passage of time, and these things come up in a lot of kids' poetry. So keep that in mind when you're making your comparisons. Thanks for listening.